There are things too vast for mortal comprehension, shapes of doom painted not in fire but in silence. When the Necrons rise from every tomb world, the galaxy itself becomes a tapestry of inevitability. Yet humanity, ever defiant, seeks to explain the inexplicable. In the dark between stars, rumors breed like fungi, sprouting in every crevice where certainty has withered. Some are dismissed as madness, others suppressed as heresy, and still others linger, half-believed, for they bear the weight of possibility. Among the navigators of the Navis Nobilitae, there are tales that chill even the most seasoned voidfarers. They speak of the Astronomicon, that blazing psychic beacon that guides ships through the warp, growing dim when fleets pass near newly awakened tomb worlds. No record of the Adeptus Astronomica confirms this, of course. To admit even the possibility would be to invite panic across the Imperium. Yet navigators whisper of journeys where the Emperor's light seemed to flicker, as though some vast shadow had stretched across the warp itself. They describe the silence of the Necrons not as absence but as interference, a dead weight pressing upon the immaterium. If true, then the reclamation is not only material but metaphysical, reaching even into the warp's formless sea. Others look not to the stars, but to the ground beneath their feet. On worlds where Necron structures erupt from the soil, survivors speak of dreams that afflict them before the conquest is complete. They dream of vast green deserts, of skies without sun, of endless lines of faceless soldiers marching without sound. Some wake screaming. Others do not wake at all, their bodies cold and rigid, as though they had been sculpted into statues by their own terror. Adepts of the Astra Telepathica investigate and claim no warp signature, no psychic presence. Yet the dreams persist, shared across thousands who have never met, who speak the same visions with identical detail. To some, this is proof that the Necrons are not only reclaiming the galaxy's matter but also seizing its very dreamscape. The most unsettling whispers come from within the Adeptus Mechanicus. There are those who claim to have decoded fragments of the Necron lattice, intercepted by chance before data wards reduced them to ruin. These fragments describe not battle plans or conquests but functions, commands written in mathematics more precise than any human cogitator could conceive. The commands suggest that the galaxy is being calibrated, as though it were a mechanism returning to its original state. Some dare to ask, if the galaxy is a machine, then who is its master? And if the Necrons succeed, what will awaken? The Inquisition treats such ideas as dangerous beyond measure. Any suggestion that the galaxy has a will of its own, or that the Necrons might be restoring not merely an empire but a cosmic intelligence, threatens to fracture what little stability remains. Yet rumors persist. Rogue psychers speak of a mind stretching across constellations, neither god nor demon, older than the warp itself. They call it the Sleeper, or the Stone God, or simply the First. They claim its dreams are returning through the Necrons, and that when the lattice is whole, its eyes will open once more. Pilgrims twist these whispers into prophecy. On shrine worlds untouched by reclamation, they chant that the Emperor himself has allowed the Necrons to rise, for only by enduring the silence will mankind prove worthy of his final salvation. To them, the Necron awakening is not doom but crucible, the greatest trial of faith before apotheosis. In their eyes, the Necrons are not the end, but the beginning of a purging, where the weak will fall and only the purest devotion will remain. Whether these words inspire courage or madness depends on the hearer, but either way they spread like wildfire. And still in the depths of the void, others whisper darker things. What if the Necron's victory is not a possibility but an inevitability? What if all resistance, all defiance, all sacrifice is nothing more than delay? There are those who claim the galaxy is already lost, that every tomb world awakened is not conquest but memory, restoring what has always belonged to them. To believe this is to believe humanity was never meant to endure, that its empires and gods are nothing more than fleeting embers in an age that was never theirs. Such whispers are dangerous, corrosive, and yet impossible to banish. For when the tombs open and the legions rise, when silence falls heavier than prayer, it is hard not to wonder, are these rumors not prophecy, but truth? When humanity peers into the abyss of its possible futures, it does not see one path but many. Each ending is whispered differently, depending on whether the words are spoken in the halls of the ecclesiarchy, the forges of Mars, or the shadows, where heresy festers. The Necron's reclamation is not only a military question, it is a question of destiny itself, of whether mankind was ever meant to endure in a galaxy this old. In the most common vision, the Imperium falls as countless others have. One by one its fortress worlds dim, hive cities fall silent, their towers collapsing into dust under green fire. The ecclesiarchy's cathedrals built to outlast centuries are reduced to ruins in days. The Astra Militarum resists until its last breath, regiments swallowed like sparks in a storm. Even the Adeptus Astartes, paragons of defiance, find their bolters impotent against endless tides of deathless soldiers, who do not bleed, do not break, do not retreat. The ending here is not sudden but gradual, like a candle guttering in a room where the air has already grown thin. Humanity suffocates beneath the weight of silence until it vanishes, leaving nothing behind but ruins for the Necrons to reclaim. Others whisper a darker end still: assimilation. In this vision, the Necrons do not merely kill but repurpose the flesh of man. The spark of human thought, even the essence of the soul, are stripped and poured into their lattice of order. What emerges is not extinction but transformation. The Imperium's countless billions reshaped into servitors of an ancient machine mind. It is a fate worse than death, for it is not an ending at all but an eternal service stripped of choice and memory. Such visions strike terror even into the hearts of the Mechanicus, who imagine their most sacred truth, that the machine is God, twisted into a mockery where man himself becomes machine without will. But there are other visions too, less despairing. Some whisper that mankind will endure not through victory but through myth, that in the shadow of the Necron's reclamation, humanity will shrink, retreating to hidden bastions among the stars. There, scattered and forgotten, it will become legend. A people of fire and faith who survive in the cracks between the Necron's dominion. Millennia may pass, the galaxy reshaped into a silent machine, but humanity will wait. And in some distant future, when the Necrons falter or their lattice decays, the children of man will emerge once more, carrying with them the embers of a new dawn. To the ecclesiarchy, this vision is heresy, for it suggests the emperor's dominion is not eternal but delayed. To others it is hope, fragile and flickering, yet hope nonetheless. There are even stranger prophecies born of madness or divine vision. No one can say which. Some claim the emperor himself will rise in answer to the Necrons, not as the corpse upon the golden throne but as a being transfigured, radiant and infinite. His spirit forged against the silence until it burns brighter than ever before. In this vision, the Necron's awakening is not doom but catalyst, the final act required to bring about apotheosis. Humanity suffers, yes, perhaps even shatters, but in shattering it is remade. Its destiny intertwined not with silence, but with fire eternal. Pilgrims cling to this dream with fervor, for to them suffering without redemption is unthinkable. They call the Necrons not enemies but heralds, unwilling servants of the Emperor's final plan. And then there are those who whisper of balance. They say the galaxy cannot be owned by silence alone, nor by chaos, nor by fire, that the Necron's reclamation is not the end but one part of an eternal cycle, where each power rises and falls in turn, carving history into endless spirals. In this vision, mankind will not vanish but will take its place as one note in a greater symphony, its suffering and triumphs echoing forever in a cosmic rhythm too vast for any single race to comprehend. To those who believe it, even annihilation loses its sting, for it is not loss but transformation into something greater. No one knows which, if any, of these futures is true. Perhaps all are wrong. Perhaps the truth is stranger still, a destiny no prophet has glimpsed. Yet the rumors persist, passed from lips to ears, from dream to waking, until they form a constellation of possibilities. And in every vision one constant remains: the Necrons rise. The tombs open. The silence spreads. And humanity must choose whether to yield, endure, or believe. In the end, what lingers is not the clash of bolter fire or the thunder of orbital bombardments. Those fade quickly, drowned in the green tide of reclamation. What endures is silence, a silence that is not absence but presence, the presence of inevitability, the weight of a galaxy remembering itself. For the Necrons do not rage, they do not gloat, they do not savor conquest. They simply return, step by step, planet by planet, until every world that once bore their mark beats again with the rhythm of their ancient design. And yet, even in silence, humanity resists. Resistance is its nature. For every tomb world that awakens, there is a guardsman who stands his post though he knows it is futile. For every fortress that falls, there is a sister of battle who ignites her flamer and prays louder than the void. For every city that crumbles, there is a mother who gathers her children and tells them that the Emperor watches, even if his gaze feels distant. These acts do not halt the reclamation. They do not shatter the lattice or undo the silence, but they are sparks, and sparks endure. Perhaps this is humanity's true weapon, more than laser guns or titans or even the might of the Adeptus Astartes. It is the refusal to be erased, even when erasure is certain. The refusal to be silent, even when silence is absolute. A guardsman's oath, a pilgrim's prayer, a child's cry in the ruins. Each is a note struck against the endless drone of inevitability. Alone they are nothing. Together they form a chorus. Not loud enough to drown the silence, but loud enough to be heard within it. The Necrons may not notice. They may not care. To them, humanity's defiance may be no more than dust motes drifting in a beam of light. But to humanity it matters. It matters because as long as one voice remains, silence is not absolute. As long as one act of defiance burns, inevitability is not complete. The Imperium was built on faith, but beneath faith lies something older, something rawer. The will to endure, even when endurance has no promise of reward. Perhaps that is the final irony. The Necrons, masters of memory, reclaiming their past with unyielding precision, may find themselves opposed not by firepower, nor by strategy, but by something they cannot reclaim. For humanity is not old. It is not ancient. It is not the first race to walk the stars, nor the most powerful. But it is stubborn. It is fragile, yet it refuses to shatter. It is small, yet it refuses to vanish. And in that refusal lies a strength the Necrons cannot calculate, a variable their lattice may never account for. So the rumors speak, and so the visions tell. Some say the galaxy will fall silent, and humanity will be forgotten. Others say that silence itself will one day break beneath the weight of defiance. None can know which is true. None can know whether the reclamation is destiny or trial. But in the grim darkness of the far future, where there is only war, perhaps the question is not whether mankind will survive, but how long it can endure, and what it will mean when it does. The tombs open, the legions rise, the silence spreads, yet somewhere, in the ruins of a hive city or the chapel of a forgotten moon, A single candle still burns. Its flame is small, fragile, meaningless against the void. And yet it burns. That is humanity's answer to silence. Not victory. Not certainty. Simply endurance. And perhaps in the end that endurance is enough.